Okay, so I've shared my screen right here, and let me just cancel this. I was taking a class on this before. So, as usual, let me just open my. I'll use the scheme I used for these guys last week. Yeah, the one, the two. Okay, so I have this. I have notes. Okay, so this is the scheme I was actually. This is the scheme I've actually prepared for each and every one of my student rather. So I just like classifying everyone of us as my student to get. So week one we studying about. I mean, day one we'll be talking about Linux fundamentals, whereas we'll gain a solid understanding of the core concepts, principles, and components of Linux. We'll cover essential topics such as Linux distribution, file system permissions, processes, and more. And I guess I started lately, so I already have the that's just move on to day two here. Yeah, navigating the file system. So this is the class I literally told them, and I told them how to install Kali. But since they told me you already had Kali on your since they told me you already had Kali on your you get, so there's no problem with that. We'll just move on to this as easy as possible. So file navigating the Linux file system. The first thing is the file hierarchy here. And let's start from the root folder. If you navigate to your system tab here, I'm sure you can see my screen pretty well, right?
Yes, please.
Okay, so if you navigate to the file system tab here, and then we click this guy over here, you see a slash here. Slash means the root folder. So when you see a slash, anytime you see a slash, I just want to show the graphical method. We'll soon be moving on to the command line method because Linux majorly when I'm talking about when they say Linux is power, this is the power here. This terminal right over here is our main man. He's the person that will actually control the system that will make us to do intensive stacks. You know, in Windows command prompt too, or should I mean PowerShell. Let me say PowerShell because PowerShell is like more of what we're using. Okay, if I scroll down here, you see PowerShell, terminal emulator, root terminal emulator. So in Windows, PowerShell is people don't majorly use PowerShell because Windows is more of like a GUI, that's GUI, graphical user interface. It's more of like a GUI or operating system, and people don't really fancy command line typing commands. And but when we come to Linux, commands will absolutely be your friend. I'll give you some resources in order to build on this basic Linux fundamental that I will teach us today. So, like I was saying, this slash stand for the root folder, and under the root folder, under this slash, we have other folders right over here. Same as we have these guys from here to downward here. From that first guide, these are the folders we have here. You can see. So if I navigate to something like boots now, you will always see a slash in front. So what this denotes is slash, which is root. Let me just say root. I don't know if I can shift that. Let me say root slash root for you to understand. You get. So there will not be any slash in front of root because it signifies that it's our root folder. So let me just. So this slash here signifies our root folder on the O. So wait. So let me just open my command line now and let me go right over here. I hope you're getting what I'm actually trying to say, bro.
Yes, I'm too.
Okay, so in here, the Linux file system follows a hierarchy structure starting from the root directory and branching out into subdirectories. So, like I said, these people right over here are subdirectories. All these folder from right here to down are called subdirectories. This ones you can see this is a zip file, this is a zip folder, right? Zip folder, and this is a VM Linux code, which is the ones that actually control our Linux system. So from there we have sorry about that. We have understanding this hierarchy is crucial for effective navigation, and we've talked about the root directory whereby it's denoted with slash, like I mentioned earlier. And this is the top level directory in the Linux system. Other directories and files are located within it or its subdirectories. So now I talked about relative and absolute parts, and I won't really emphasize on it today. I mean, I won't really emphasize on it for now. As we go on, I'll tell you why we call it a relative and absolute part. So a part refers to the location of a file or direction in the file system. When we say a part, we're talking about this. Let me say I navigate to boot, grub, locally. Now, this is a part on its own. If I just come over here and I click copy, let me open up my file system and then I just paste that. Control V, let me make this bigger. This is a part over here. This is a part over here. So whether anything denoted with slash, just know that anything denoted with slash, you will remove locally, put grub, put. Even this one is a part right over here. This is the root part denoted with slash, and the home is also denoted with this symbol, this upside down, should I call it a vertical S. So it's denoted with this symbol, which is our home folder, and I'll show that as we go on. So a path refers to the location of a file or directory in the file system. A relative path is relative to the current working directory, while an absolute path specifies the complete path from the root directory. So when we are talking about this, let's go into the first command here, navigation commands. And I called it navigating the file system. So the first command here is the cd command. Cd absolutely means change directory. That's where you can open up your terminal now. Yeah, just navigate right away. Just click this guy, or you can just use Control Alt T and then Control Alt or Alt then T to open up a new terminal. Well, I already have one here, so let me just make this big. So I hope you can see my terminal well now. Yeah. So
Yes, I
the
can see.
the first command, like I mentioned, oh, thank you. So the first command, like I mentioned, there is called the cd command, and the cd command is used to change from one directory to another. Okay, let's say we are present. Like I mentioned, I said this denotes our home directory. So we are currently in our home directory. So let's say we want to cd to our root directory, which I denoted with slash. I can just say cd and put slash. Now know that it's only the root directory that is denoted with slash. No other directory is denoted with slash. Every directory or subdirectory has its own name. You can see, and we can use the ls command. Let's use the ls command to list out all possible files in our current directory. I said the root is specified with slash and is known as a directory. I don't want to use the word folder because in Linux we don't call it folders. We call it directories. You get, directories are called folders. So anyone you prefer, folders, directories, we are all still saying the same thing. So if I do the ls command literally means you want to list all specified files in that current folder. So once I do ls, I can see all specified folders in that directory. We can see boot, dev, um, lost but found, media, mnt. These are all folders, as I said. You can see. So these commands also come with arguments. There's something we call argument or syntax. You get, argument or syntax are there are other commands, or should I call them tags, that we can add to the main command in order to make the command more effective. Like now, if I want to view every hidden files or folders in this directory, all I just need to do is ls dash a, like I put it, ls dash a. So you understand what I'm saying, right? I'm with you. Yeah, I'm with you. You
Yes,
want to say something?
I'm
Okay,
following. Yeah.
okay. So ls dash a, literally what this command does is it shows us every hidden file in this directory. So if I just click enter, you see that some directories here are having dots, which is only the cache directory. The cache directory here is having a dot in front of it. If I scroll up here, you will see that you will not find the cache directory here. You cannot see the cache directory here. Can you actually see that? You will not see the cache directory here because it's hidden. But once I specify the ls dash a, it shows me all hidden directory right over here. So I hope you get what I actually said right there.
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay, so and the ls dash a is like the most popular syntax, and l, we also have dash l, small letter l. So what this one does is it shows additional information about these files like date created, when was this file, what time it was modified. So if I do ls dash l, let me just make this more big. So you can see this here, you can see this right over here, and you can see this command ls dash l. You can see it's a total of 72 files. Sorry. Yeah, and we can see being we can see being we can see the time, the date it was modified last. That's the date that the time it was modified last, the date it was modified last, the file size, what how many kilobytes, how many gigabytes you get. So once you have that, I'm pretty sure it measures in kilobytes. So you just have to convert these numbers to kbs to know how many MB or gig it is. So you can ask how many kilobytes will convert this to gig. So and we can see who owns this, the group, the owner, this the group, and this the other users. So root is the owner of the file as usual, nobody else. Like I mentioned, I said this is the root directory. So the root directory is mainly for root, and this is the permissions. What can you do to this file? Can you read it? Can you write it? The first letter in each of these permissions signifies what type of file it is. D, which is for directory, L, which is for link. You can see link, they always have something like arrow in between them, L, L, L. So those are links. They link to other folder. They are like sublinks to other folders. So and you can see anyone with dash here specifies that you don't have any, you don't have any you cannot write, you cannot execute, so now let's move on to the main guy, the place that whenever we open our terminal, I close my terminal now and I open it. We are always in this small dot here, we are always in this directory here, the home directory. If we have a command here which is pwd in order to show us our current directory. So print working directory shows us our current directory. So if I do pwd, I can see my current directory, which is home slash sec fortress, you get, which is what I actually use as my username here. So yours might be different, you get. So it depends on what you actually used as your name, you get. So home slash sec fortress, you always see there. Okay, so going back to the cd command, we can use ls to check out what directories are here. And not okay, let me make this big. Not all terminal will actually like not all terminal will colorize your output for you. You get, some outputs are in colored, some are in white, green, blue. This is just the work of bash. You get, bash is like it actually colorize our output for us. You get, so zsh, sorry, zsh, it colorize our output for us. If I just do echo, a quick echo, yeah, shell will tell us, can see here zsh, so it will tell us what kind of shell we are using. Let me just clear this and see ls. So if you want to like see what directory, if you want to see what kind of file you have, or you are not sure that everything, this one does not have .txt now. Okay, let's say this does not have .txt now, and everything here is in a white colored format. What do you do if you want to know what kind of directory is that, or what kind of file is that, you get? All you just need to do is to specify the file command. You can be taking note as I'm talking, you get. It's good to
Okay.
take note. There are different, okay, I think I'll actually send you a video. Yeah, I'll send you a link to a video after this class. There's no problem with that. So we can use the file command as usual. And okay, let's specify something like bootcamp.txt. And one hint is, if in Linux you can actually like specify the full name of a particular file. If you are not sure what the name is, you get just by pressing tab. Um, well, the
Yeah, I can hear you.
maybe you should like mute your mic.
Okay, okay, okay. Okay.
Yeah, background. Okay. So you can use the tab command. You with me, right, bro?
Yes.
Well,
What commands?
yeah.
What commands?
Okay. Okay. So you can use the tab command as usual, and it
Tab.
will actually do like auto completion for us. Something
After
like auto
typing the file.
completion. Yeah, all you just need to do is specify like the first name you get, like the
Okay.
first name of the command, like maybe B, and just click tab. You see everything starting with B here, and you can click tab to select. You see, it changes. So when anyone you choose, you can just click enter once you choose it. Then another enter in order to specify what type of file is bootcamp.txt. Okay, let's say we don't have .txt there. We don't know that it's a txt file, a text file. You see the file command will say "ashi text with very long lines, 334 characters." It cannot only do this to txt file o, any type of file left.pdf. Just like specifying, sorry about that. Let me put a space here. I can see PDF document version 1.4 with 1 pages. So it will actually tell us more about what type of file that is. And we can also do file GoBuster. GoBuster is a directory right here. Directory. So we can see that it's telling us it's a directory. So like I said, directory is also known as folder. So there's no big deal there. So file GoBuster will tell us that that is a directory on a row. So there's no how you cannot know what type of file that is, or what type of indication of file that is. So because there are some terminal, like I said, let me just even in fact let me do that. Let me see. I'm coming. You don't need to know what this one does. I just want to let me see. In P dash, it should be dash sh. Okay, let's pick this. No need. You don't need to know what I'm doing right over here. You get I just want to show you when I want. Okay, a quick ls. You can see here now that there is no color. You can see there are no colors in this. Now let's say we don't even have .txt notation in this .png. How do we know what type of files these are? You get, that's where the file command is. And you can not only specify, like you can I'm pretty sure you can specify multiple files. Yeah, multiple files. I think it come out will do that. Let me see. Go click and open. Okay, so let me try. You see, the terminal. Well, we'll look into that um later, sha. But let me just click exit in order to, and with ls we can see blue right over here. You can see right over here there were no colors, and here there were colors. So it depends on how you want your terminal to be, and so. But for now, just focus on using the default terminal. As we go on, I will brief us on the terminal you should actually, how to choose a suitable terminal.
Okay.
So, like I said, pre-WD, we have CD. We understand what the CD does now. Change directory. That's
Yes.
the only thing it actually does is just to change directory. And we understand the ls command is to list files and directories. PWD, print working directory. And okay, so CD dot dot. Yeah, moving on to this before I forget. Okay, let me say I want to change my directory. Okay, wait. Let me open it from the normal timeline here. Okay, so I mentioned something earlier that when we open up our terminal, we are automatically assigned the home folder. Now, this is where we are. Let me show you home. Let me open it with, okay, see, home sec fortress. I mentioned something about the print working directory. If I do pwd, you can see sec fortress. So right over here, when we enter this place, this is where we are working from. So any modification we make here, even if we use our terminal, we can also check what it is. If I do ls normally, you can see the files here. You can also see the files here. You understand what I'm saying? You can also see the files here. You are hearing me, right?
Yes, yes, I'm hearing you.
Sorry about that. Okay, so you can still see the files there as usual. So once that is done, like I wanted to mention before, the CD, I mean, moving one step backward. So let's say we want to move to something like, okay, let me check for documents. Okay, let me go to documents, bbox, yeah. Okay, let's say I'm right over here now. I'm right over here. If I want to CD to big box, all I could just need to do is let me make this big. As usual, I'll do ls. Okay, sorry about that. ls in order to see all files in this, and I'll look for bbox. I'll just do cdb tab. Okay, I don't have bbox there. Oh, I navigated to documents first. Yeah, so a quick tab shows me document folder is available there, and I click enter. I do ls command, and I can see b. You see the b folder right here on top. Yeah, b right over here. So I can also cd there, cd b ls, and see another bbox folder, cd bbox. You might not have the bbox folder, so I'm just showing us an example. This is not the main example. So we can see here that our directory is changing as we input more commands. CD big box, we see it add big box here, big box rather. CD big box, we see add big box right over here as usual, and we have this small big box here, which we did right over here. So let me just clear this. Okay, let's say maybe we want to move one step backward. Using GUI is very easy if you want to move one step backward. From this last folder here, you can just click here, and then you are already here. You can now do anything you like. You can create a folder, create a document. But what if we want to do this in our terminal? All we just need to do is cd dot dot. So now what the dot dot command does is it's change directory from one folder backwards. You get? So it's like we are changing directory one folder backwards. When we add a slash, it's still the same command. But when we now add another dot dot, we are changing directory two folder backward. So let me show you that now. One step, you see that bbox is removed from here, and now we are here. You get what I'm saying?
Okay, yeah.
Let me clear this and then cd back to bbox again. Okay, let's say we want to move to documents. That's two steps. We just do cd dot dot slash dot dot slash as usual, enter, and we are in document folder. As usual, ls, you can see, you can list all content inside this directory as usual. And the content inside the document folder is absolutely not the content inside bbox, right? So you can use the clear command. You know what the clear command I've been using since morning. The clear command I've been using since actually just clears the screen. You get, just clears the screen, nothing else. All right. So what other command we have here? We have the cd. I mentioned this. This is the notation for our home directory. If we want to move to our home directory, we can just do cd this or cd slash home. Very easy, and we are good to go. You get? So still the same thing. Cd this or cd slash home are still the same notation. ls, and we can see sec fortress there, or cd this ls, and we can still see. All right. Okay. Now we are in the sec fortress folder. So if you let me show us cd home. Let me just give you a hand. Cd then slash ls. In order to see what is here, we can see sec fortress, cd sec tab. I hope you get what I'm actually doing.
Yes. like different
Okay, so
commands, but the
when
same,
we see the,
right?
yeah,
Like like different commands, but
yeah,
the same this thing is taking you to the same thing in the terminal.
exactly. That's why we call it a Linux file. This one is just a Linux file system navigation command. Like these are just basically like file system navigation commands, how to move from directory, how to change directory, you get. So what I did here is I cd to my home directory here and ls as usual sec fortress, and we can see that we are sec fortress right here, and I cd inside this sec fortress right here. This sec fortress right here denotes this guy, so it's still under the home directory, you get. So once I do that and I do ls, we are actually inside here. Still the same thing when I cd to home and I do ls, I see sec fortress and I cd to sec fortress and I did ls, we can see that it's the same files that are
Yeah.
inside here that are also inside here. So I can just clear my screen as usual, then we are good. And then yeah, you can use the arrow up button in your keyboard in order to make it easier for you to go back to command, maybe commands you have typed earlier, because there is an history file in Linux file system in your command line that actually saves, it auto saves every command you type, you get. Once you type that command in this current section and you click the cancel button here of your terminal, then you open this terminal again, it has saved everything you did past um in that former terminal, so in that former section rather. So if I just do history, the history command, just history command, you see every, you can see 1424 commands is what I've actually typed when, because you can actually clear the history files, you get. So these are like the commands I've actually like typed. You don't need the command, just get longer and longer and longer, but there's no need to be scared. By the time, as time goes on, you get to understand, you get to understand everything, you get.
Okay.
So let me just clear this as usual. Once we have that, like I mentioned, you can use the up arrow key to go up and we can use the down arrow key to go down. Very easy stuff. Okay, ls dash l, what else? Okay, file permission. Okay, before I go to file permission, let me talk about syntax. There are other additional commands I want you to put in mind, which is I want you to write them down if you have. Okay, let me, since you, do you know anything about note taking apps like digital notes or electronic note taking apps? Let me just say digital note taking apps like Notion, Obsidian, and others.
No, not at all.
Okay. Okay, so when the others come, sha, I wanted to say something about this note taking app because I actually don't take notes with physical pen and paper. You get, I use note taking apps like Obsidian. Me, I use Obsidian because if I was using Windows, I would have used Notion. You can a quick browse, like if you just open up. Sorry, you open this up. Let me just hide this. Then over here, if I type in Notion download, just that network right over here. Okay. Notion desktop app for Mac and Windows. So Notion is actually a note taking app. When you say something, so you can see download for Windows and for Mac. Work without distraction on your own or with your team. So it's like using hand to write, you get, like using pen and paper, because there are a lot of syntax that instead of just doing copy and paste like this now, let me open up this note, my note taking up, which is Obsidian. I was learning something about because I started this PJPT course, yeah. So I have different notes right over here, and I think I even made a note about, let me check that. Okay, so Linux fundamental, yeah. So you can see notes here, like it's a note taking app, digital note taking app, whereas you can just like copy and paste
Copy and
and
paste.
then
Yeah.
jot down what you really think is actually important instead of using pen and paper, you get. It's more faster and more creative. So once that is done, what was I before? Okay, so I mentioned about about syntax, right? Yeah, syntax. So I want you to put down three command, which is the what is. You can install the note taken up after the class. There's no problem with that.
Okay.
Okay, what is, where is, and man help. Yeah. So these four commands they are actually good to know what, to know more about each command. Let's say we want to know more about the ls command now. Let's start with what is. You can just do what is ls, and you can see it list directory content.
Okay.
It lists directory content. So you can see that the ls command actually lists directory content. You get what I did here? What is
Yeah.
ls?
What's
It
ls?
lists the ls. So it lists directory content. As usual, if I do the ls command, you can see directory content. The content inside our home directory, you get. Now, in order to know where the command ls, that's where file system comes in. I will still talk about that. But I'll give you a PDF to know more about that one. So ls user being ls, we can know where this command is presently located at. You get, and this is the man. So let's just clear that. I'm not So once we clear that, okay, so we have the man command. The man command is like a manual, yeah, a manual for commands, for other commands, you get. So let's say ls, like now we know is the command. The ls command is an executable command. We can also do man ls, and we can see a manual list of the ls command. List directory content, description, list information about the files, the current directory. So it tells us more about. You can see what we did that time. Dash a. Do not ignore entries starting with dot. Dot are folders or files that are hidden. So anytime you add dots to any file or folder, you are trying to say it should be hidden. You get. So
Mm.
dash a, almost all do not list implied dots. And I forgot to tell you something. Okay, you can just press q to escape. Linux is case sensitive. If I do capital letter L and S, and you can tell me command not found, you get.
Yeah.
So every command literally starts with small letter. Every command starts with small letter, except if you are trying to set path variable, which I will also give you resources to see. It's the terminal is just, it's very, very, I even want to say it's beginner friendly, because it's when you advance you will know that yes, you're actually doing stuff. Because right now we are just doing the ls command. By the time we start with piping and then specifying other commands, you get, that's where the hard stuff comes in. But it is going to be very simple. So far, I'm like going to be your instructor. So the ls command, like I mentioned, you have to be like, it's case sensitive, and you have to start with small letter. Same as changing directory. Okay, let's say we want to list direct. Okay, let's say we want to cd to desktop now, and we now do cd, then small letter d, eskTop. Load such file or directory desktop. Meanwhile, we have desktop here. You will now be wondering, we have desktop here, why can't I change directory? Nah, you made a mistake here. No capital letter, you are using small letter. So you
Yeah.
get what I did here. So when we just do cd dash d, that's why I mentioned the tab command earlier. When you use the tab command, it's like an auto correct and auto completion for us. So you can see it brings out desktop here, document, and then we can just click again tab. Then we can just click enter when we want to select the one highlighted, enter, and we can see desktop right over there. Then we are in desktop already. And cd to home with this guy. Sorry about that. We can cd to home with this guy as usual, and then we are in home. So you can see it's very, very easy to use. And the help command, before I forget, the help command is literally, is not, is like, it actually specify information about commands, but it's not in a more detailed way. It's just like it specify the syntax, like ls dash 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 has to be in front, ls dash dash then up, or ls dash h, but dash h doesn't used to work like that, you get. So ls dash dash up, let me just do that. So you can see syntax that this command actually carries. You can see usage ls list information about the files, the current directory by default, about the current directories, yeah, by default. So if you use ls on its own, it's actually going to tell you that okay, I'm actually going to list out the files in our current directory. But if you know a directory name like desktop now, I can just do ls. Then okay, I'm currently in my home directory, so I don't need to specify slash. That's where going back to this, yeah, going back to this relative and absolute part. So this part right here is an absolute part. Let me clear it. This part right over here, this ls desktop, is an absolute part. Why? Because I don't need to specify a slash right over here. You can see. If I click enter, it will say cannot access desktop, no such file or directory. Why? Because slash specifies our root folder and there's nothing inside. And root, you cannot find desktop inside root. But if I do ls now and I do slash home, it actually tell us that sec fortress is there without no errors. You can see, without no errors. So that is this is and okay, let me just do ls desktop now. Oh, sorry about that. Desktop. So this is an absolute part, and this is a relative part, and this is an absolute part. Relative in the essence that if I want to print out desktop from my home directory, I need to specify ls slash home slash sec dash fortress, sec dash fortress slash desktop, which is very very long. You see, so this is a relative part. You can see relative. The home folder is the relative to sec fortress, then the relative to desktop.
That's it.
But absolute part is where you are currently in. So it actually print out both. So you can see both command actually tells us the same output. But when I did this, it actually gave me an error. So I hope you get what I actually did there.
Yes. So instead of
Yeah,
you
thank
typing
you.
it, you just put the
Yeah,
command.
exactly. So as easy as that. Okay, so moving on, let me move on to the 2pp. Okay, so file permissions. Now, this is where the confusing part is. Linux uses a permission system that specifies who can read, write, and execute files or directories. Students should understand how to view and modify permissions using commands like chmod and chown. We will not be looking at ch own today because literally ch own is for users, you get. That's if you want to create a user on a system, you get, I know. But the command will be focusing on is chmod. Now, if I do the ls-l command right over here, I mentioned something about these guys here, this permission. I mentioned something about all this um drwxr that you're seeing right over here. Okay, so what this actually means is, let me check. Okay, I'll just have to create a new one with that. Okay, let me just make this brackets read read. Just give me time to set this
Okay.
right. Just make this right. Equal to execute. Sorry about that. Execute. Yeah. Just take this as execute. You get.
Okay.
I just want to make it a short one. Execute. So total equals to 7. Very good. So you don't need to understand everything yet. So when I did ls, I wrote rwx. Now r starts from read, which I mentioned here. So take r as number 4. You get. Take r as number 4. W stands for right. Take w as number 4. Take w as number 2 rather. Are you with me? You are with me, right?
Yes, yes.
Take x as number 1. Take x as number 1, like I mentioned here. So read, write, execute. Forget about this first letter here. It just stands for what kind
Directory.
of file is this? Is it a directory? Is it a link? Is it a file you get? So you can see. So just ahead, let's take for example pen. Let's take for example pen here. You can see right over here I'm in my home directory. So you can see read, write, execute, read, write, execute, read, write, execute. Now why we have this repetition of read, write, execute is because the first read, write, execute here is for the owner of the file. So the owner of the file has the permission to read, write and execute command on pen. You get on the pen file. The second read, write, execute stand for group. The group user also has a read, write, execute permission on the file pen. The third guy here stand for others, which is other people on this system. And the other people to have read, write, execute. If you're into more of like a system admin, because it's like I'm transition from a sysadmin to pen testing, and that really be a great fit for me. So read, write, execute and pen. So other people here have, everybody here has the permission to read, write and execute on this file here, which is pen. Now check password.txt. We have read, write, dash. So that means the owner of the file cannot execute any command on password.txt. Okay, let's take for example this was password.exe. You know exe files, you can just click on them and then it will execute them, the application will run. Assuming this execute was not there, you can only read, you can write, but you cannot execute with password.txt. Same as this. Now the group user can only read. He does not have the permission to read and execute. The other users too can only read. They don't have the permission to write and execute. I hope you get what I'm trying to say.
Yes. Yeah, you're trying to say those ones that have
Right. So
dash dash, you cannot execute. You can only read them, but you cannot
yeah,
execute.
exactly. They don't even have any they cannot even do anything at all. They cannot do anything to that permission. They cannot change it. And always know that it's only the root user or the owner of that file that has permission to change that file. You get?
Yeah.
So we can see the owner here is Sec Fortress, which is me. So I can do anything to other people files here, to the group user, to the other users. I can do anything to them. Okay, so let's pick, for example, load.txt. I don't know what is inside load.txt. We can use the cat command to concatenate whatever is any file is in any text file. The cat command actually like print out anything inside a text file. Let me say load.txt. Load.txt. I don't know what's inside load.txt. Okay, I think this is like is okay, this is like an encryption algorithm. Is 64 it's encoded in base 64. Okay, let me just remove this. Let me just clear
So the
this.
cat,
Okay.
the cat, using the
Let
cat
me just
command will help you to print out whatever is hidden in the file.
yeah, yeah. It prints it out to the terminal. So it's very easy. So okay, so let me go to self fortress now. Okay, let me check. I want to just pick a file that I can actually edit. Let me check out pen. Okay, password txt. Sorry about that. Let me check out pen. I have a lot of. Okay, I just want to take one here. Okay, let me just create. Let me see files or text. Okay, I think this class. Okay, I have class. Okay, let me use class. Let me use class. I've even made an example of this before, but let me just use class. Let me change what's inside here now. Okay, let's go to our terminal and check the permission for class. We can just say ls-l class, and we can see that class right over here has read write permission. As you know of the file, I can only read and write. I cannot execute it. As it was a class.txt, I cannot execute it. You get read. I can only read the file. As other users, you can only read the file. If I create another user on this PC now, you get. If I create another user on this PC, which is chmode, yeah, and the group user can only read the file, other user can only read the file. Okay, now let me focus on our own self. Let's say we don't even want us to be able to write to this file, we don't want us to be able to type anything in this file, because if I go over here and I write Ola now, and I do Control S, yeah, Control S, and I go here and I do cat class, you can see Ola right over here, right? Okay. So now let's say we want to change the mode for this. We want to modify the file, and we don't want us to be able to even write to this file. We only want us to be able to read this file. Let me just do chmod class. Chmod followed by, go to our terminal, right? Our text editor right over here. Read. We mentioned that read is given number 4, right?
Number four.
Write is given number 2. Execute is given number 1. Now we don't want us to be able to like read anything to this file. We only want us to be able to read. We don't want us to be able to write. We specify number 4 as the first person here. So you see, yeah, which is 7. If I do, sorry about that. So 4 plus 2 plus 1 is equals to 7. 4 plus 2 plus 1 equals to 7, right? Yeah. So we really want us to be able to read this file, right? What we just need to do is detonate this one as 4. We'll put it right over here, 4. Because we are the owner of the file, 4. If you want us to be able to read and write to this file, we'll add it 4 plus 2, which is 6. Instead of 4, we'll cancel it and put 6. Now we can read and write. If we want us to be able to execute on this file, 4 plus 1, which is read and execute. You get
Yeah.
4 plus 1, read and execute. Now we can read and execute to this file, we change to 5. So we can now do R and X. But because we only want to read this file, we'll change it to 4. And the rest of these people, we can just put 4 4. If we want them to be able to read it. But if we don't want them to be able to read it at all, we just put it 0 0. They don't have any permission. 0. Both the order and the group,
Is it
400.
really showing
So once we just do
read
class,
there?
yeah. So
Okay.
once we just do class, ch mode. Do you understand me?
Mr. Ojo,
Yeah. I was trying to ask a question.
Yeah.
You are saying something. This is showing write and read with a dash and a read and a dash dash with a read, right? So if you don't want
Yeah.
if you don't want the person to have the permission to read, right? So what
Mm,
do you then not do? You
mm.
not put it to like 4 then 0 0.
Yeah. If you don't want them to have any permission at all, you include this 0 right over here. If you want them to be able to read, you put 4 as usual. You get. If you want them to be able to write as usual too, write here, you set it to number 2 here, which is the other user, like I mentioned here. It's as simple as still classifying this guy with, let me just use slash as classifying them. Now, take this guy at the first slash with the owner of the file, which is sec fortress, these people, which is other, and this is the group user. You get. So 4 right over here, I can only read this file. Let me execute the command for you first, and then run ls-l again.
Mr.
0
Ojo,
0. You see that there is a read right over here. So I'm going to read, but I'm going to read right, like I was saying, read, write, execute here. So after running the command, which I did here, chmod 400 class, like I wanted to do before. So if I do ls-l right over here, oh, sorry, ls-l class rather, you can see this right. Let me just clear. I don't want to clear this side. So you can see read here right over here. So now only the owner of this file have the permission to read it. We cannot actually write to this file again. If I go right over here and I go to class and I try to add something like, okay, let me just see. Let me see, say add to right over here. And I do Control S. You see the document is read only. You want to save it as another file in order to have that permission. If we cancel this, we cannot save that. So we have to remove this guy here. And as usual, Control Z. Yeah, as usual, don't save. So we cannot save, we can only read that file, but we cannot edit it. Cat class. We will always see this here. So let's say okay, we want to change it to read and execute, like I mentioned, and we said read and execute is 4 plus 1, which is 5. Okay, let's say we even want everybody to be able to read and execute this file. All we just need to do is ch mode 400 555 class ls dash l class. Now you can see right over here, everybody have the permission to what? Read and execute. Rx, Rx, Rx. Right. Rx, 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 Rx. So read, execute. So this one, like I mentioned, is for the first user, second user, third user. But instead of calling all of them third, first user, we call this one the owner of the file, the group owner of the file, then other people that owns this file. You get? You understand me now, Mr. Boyo?
Yes, yes.
Ehen. So once you get that, so I guess that's like everything for this file permission. I mentioned something about hidden files and directory. Looks like I was too fast. File system navigation tips. I also mentioned about them. I mentioned the use the file command. It helps identify the type of a file. So I guess that's really everything you need to know about file navigation. Then editing, file editors, you can use the nano command. Nano is also, if I say nano class, okay, let's just change the mode for that to 777 in order for everybody to have that permission. Get sage mode 777 class. So if I do ls dash l now, you see everybody have this permission. No more dash. No more dash is there. So I can use Nano. Nano is also a text editor rather than Cat, because Cat only prints it out for us. We cannot edit anything. We can just do Nano class and we can edit right over here. I prefer Nano to Vim because Vim is like very it's more stressful for, especially for beginners. But this is what it, if you can research more on it. The Vim, just a quick Google search on Vim, you see manuals on how to use it, or you can just use the man command as usual, man Vim, which is VIM. Then we can add this to it, we can add different text to it, we can add set for trace, we can add axo, we can add anything to it, we can add mono, and then you can just do control X, save modified buffer, yes, file name to write to class, we can change the file name, or we can still leave it as class, and then you can just do cat class, and then we have everything we mentioned there inside the file. Let's create this as usual. So I guess that's everything like really. So other platform I supposed to show other people this, but I already sent them the resources they will use. Like I sent them the website. I also send you the website, but the first I want you to use is track. I will send you a link, like a detailed link. I think this is just like an achievement. Top 9%. Okay, so I'll just send you a detailed link because it's like the room. It's like, let me complete rather and go to, okay, just loading up track the activities. This is taking my time. Network want to, okay, this is just going to like take some couple of minutes. Maybe because I did something there. This is meant to be very fast. I hope you can still see my terminal. I mean, you can still see my screen, and it's not
Yes.
lagging.
Trying to open a folder or something like that.
I think I'm the one that did something. This is meant to be very fast. Okay, so I guess I'm the one who actually did something the other day. Okay, so show more. Show more right over here. Okay, so Linux, starting from this, Linux, power up your skills with Linux. The first, which is Linux, which is this Linux Fundamentals Part 1. So if you can, I will send the link to the group. No need. There's no need of you going there. I will send it to the group chat. I will send all the resources I sent there before. I will send it back there. Yes.
Okay.
So you can be able to use them and learn. Like Miss Weldy actually mentioned, you cannot actually be. And after completing this Linux fundamental room, you can also learn more here. It's not that you get, you can also
You need to
learn, you
sign.
can
Why
continue
need to
your
sign
learning. But
join or something? I'm saying something like
yeah,
sign in, join. Do I need to join or
yeah, you need to create an account. Actually, I referred, you get, like it was like a 3-1, I referred. So that is why my you get cookie. I can now actually, I need to log in again before I can continue. I was referred to another page, you get, before I can actually, I need to log in again to continue. So, welcome to the first part of Linux fundamentals room series. I've completed it rather. I've completed it. So, once you see a bit background of Linux, you solve the tasks, you log in to answer, you can see. Then you have a in-browser lab. You have a lab right over here. You start the machine. It's literally fun. They teach you, you continue, you solve questions, you answer the question correctly, you move on. You can see the echo command, echo who am I, all this one are basic commands that I literally wouldn't want to touch now, because interacting with the file system and all, ls, you get cd, change directory, outputting cat, print working directory and others. As we move on, you get, you are advancing. Then we have part 3 here. I just want to tweak this url to, and I just put 2 here, right over here, to go to 2. Get it. We have 3 labs for this Linux fundamental. We have 3, I mean room rather, instead of lab, room. So you can see here, accessing your Linux machine using SSH. Now things are getting deep. You can see introduction to flags and switches, which I mentioned earlier, -h, whereby you specify things in front. You can see right over here, ls-a and other things. Then file system interaction, permissions. I mentioned something about permission, which is chmod. Okay, what that one uses su, that's su, in order to um escalate from a lower level to a more advanced user, you get. So super user, just like su super user, and the playable machine, what will the command be to switch to the user two? So like switching from one user to another user. So it's very understandable if you are actually, like, if you put in the work and you are literally ready to learn. So I guess that'll be all for now, and I hope you actually learned something, because I really appreciate when every time I teach and some people get to learn something new, or even if you know something about Linux before, I hope you learned something new, and I hope you understand everything I actually said, because to actually it will actually be useful or be needed in the near future when you start with the enumeration side, other networking terms and all, you get. So I guess that's all. So Miss Weldy, right?
Yeah.